Hi, Dr. Bosworth here again, and we're talking more about what things can go wrong when you're on a ketogenic diet. It's not been one time that a patient has come to say, I can't be on that diet. I've had kidney stones or I have gout, and I heard they get worse when you're on this diet. So today we're going to talk about the crystals inside your body and what happens to them when you're on a ketogenic diet. Both of these crystal problems, the crystals found in your kidney and the crystals found in gout, are a problem within a couple of weeks of going on to a ketogenic diet. Let's start by unpacking what a kidney stone is and why it's any concern of someone on a ketogenic diet. Kidney stones should be called kidney crystals because they really are crystals found inside a kidney. And you can make a kidney crystal in any person if you get them dehydrated enough. If you are dehydrated long enough, the kidney will get those minerals and those electrons close enough together that they will bond and form a crystal. You do this once and no problem. You do this hundreds of times, still probably no problem, but you do this thousands of times and the crystal becomes the size of a tiny stone, which is where the word kidney stones have come from. If you take one of our high-tech machines and you image a kidney of any adult, you can see crystals in all of us. We've all had times where our body got dehydrated and a tiny little crystal formed. The question is, did you stay hydrated enough to undo it before it grew into a stone? Or have you got a pretty good magnetic effect inside that kidney, attracting more and more particles to become part of the stone? If you want to make a kidney stone, start with being dehydrated. But the second thing that you could do to make more kidney stones is have high blood sugars and have high insulin states. Most people have that who are on the standard American diet. And when we switch people to a ketogenic diet where they eat 80% fat and they keep those carbohydrates under 20, the chemistry shift inside that kidney switches. And no longer are they adding more crystals to those kidney stones. In fact, they are taking away crystals from those kidney stones. This sounds like a good thing until you realize we don't get to choose what order we pull off those little crystals. So if you've got this big boulder inside your kidney and it's stuck up against the side of your kidney system, your waterworks system, and then you begin to produce ketones, you're going to pull off one crystal at a time. And if the kidney gods are good to you, you're going to pull off that crystal from the tip and melt that crystal from the outside in. But it's not a guarantee that that's how it happens. Many times the base of the crystal will be what deteriorates first, and then the kidney stone dislodges. When you make a kidney stone, you don't feel a thing. Your body continues to add to that crystal and it's stuck up against your kidney wall and you don't notice it. It's only when the kidney stone dislodges from where it grew that you feel it, and oh boy, do you feel it. It is one of the most excruciating pains that radiates into your back and then down into the groin. Both of those are signals that something is moving inside the kidney and those sharp crystal knives are just slicing through problems throughout your waterworks. Is the answer to not go on a ketogenic diet? I would contend no. Those crystals built up inside that kidney happened because you were dehydrated and because the state of insulin and sugar has been higher than it should be. Undoing it is still part of the long-term plan. It just means that if you've got kidney stones and you know you have kidney stones, we don't want you messing with a ketogenic diet. We want you stepping over the threshold and staying there. Let me say that again. When your kidney stones are being broken down, we don't want you adding and subtracting to that kidney stone by going in and out of ketosis. If you're somebody who has kidney stones, we want you stepping over the threshold for ketosis and then measuring your ketones to guarantee that you're continuing on the side of ketosis for a good year to melt away those kidney stones. Unfortunately, this doesn't guarantee that you won't have a dislodged stone. It just makes it less likely that the chemistry is shifted to the part of melting kidney stones and you stay there. So the next question I usually get is, does ketosis mean that I'm going to melt away my kidney stones? And that's not quite true. We know that there is an environment that is consistent with reducing a kidney stone when you're in ketosis, and we know that if you have kidney stones, it's very likely that you're not advancing those kidney stones. But to guarantee that it reverses is a pretty extreme chemistry shift that most of my patients that are looking for that have to be under pretty close medical supervision to get them there. So a ketogenic diet can spark a kidney stone if you're unlucky enough to melt them in the wrong direction, but it also doesn't guarantee that you're going to reverse those kidney stones over time. You can have pretty strong confidence that you're not going to grow those kidney stones when you're in a state of ketosis. Let's move over to a gout flare. Just like with kidney crystals, gout crystals happen without you knowing it. People who've had a gout attack know they've had a gout attack. And this picture shows there's a great amount of crystals built up in that big toe of this patient. But if you look closely, there's also several other joints that have these crystals brewing at a much lower level. The patient will say, but doc, I don't have symptoms in those joints. And indeed they don't. But over time, if you stuff more and more crystals into these different joints, they will become symptomatic and they really cause havoc with the cartilage that's growing there. Gout crystals are actually a safety mechanism. They're trying to take the extra foods and the nitrogen that you've acquired in your diet and stuff them any place they can find to put them. Unfortunately, putting those crystals inside your joint is probably not a good idea, but your body has run out of other options. It can't keep up with the amount of foods in that setting of the high insulin and high sugar that you've been eating. One of the classic pictures in an old medical school book was who gets gout, and they would always have a picture of a king. He would have a beer in his hand, he'd have a turkey leg in his hand, and he'd have a big fat gut. This is insulin resistance. This is a high insulin state, which is where many Americans live most of their life on a standard American diet. Add the state of ketosis into their body, and you're gonna see the reversal of these gout crystals over time. The moment you start to move crystals inside that joint, you're gonna feel it. Gout crystals don't have any symptoms as long as nobody moves the crystals. But when you add crystals and when you take them away, those symptoms are incredibly painful. So does that mean if you have a history of gout that you shouldn't be on a ketogenic diet? I actually would argue the other way. Your body has spent years stuffing extra crystals in those joints because of the way you ate. Getting the chemistry shift found in a ketogenic state is the way to promote the removal of those gout crystals. Bathing your system in insulin and in inflammation improves the likelihood of making gout crystals about as much as bathing your system in ketones reduces it. My recommendation for folks with a gout history and embarking on a ketogenic diet, be sure you step over the threshold and stay in ketosis. Don't go back and forth. Be very good about the transition and have your medications of colchicine and probenecid on hand and at your home in case you do get an attack. My final recommendation for those people who have the crystals, that means you've got kidney stone history or you've got a gout history, is to stay hydrated. There is nothing more true than the anger you get from a kidney or a gout attack when they're dehydrated.